I think today, in lieu of the NBA trade deadline, we should discuss the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay.
Since we live in Philadelphia.
Fair enough. Always go for
Philadelphia.
a good Sixers conversation. I mean, I will say that I'm probably not as well-versed with the Sixers this year as I have been in years past. I just haven't had as much time
All right,
to
we
dedicate.
can start off there. Is it more just business and other things have taken control, or have you fallen off of your love for the Sixers?
Yeah, no, I just been busy.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
it's not like you enjoyed the 2018 or 19 team better than where they are now?
not necessarily. I was just more involved in basketball in general, like especially in college and just after we were playing a lot more. So naturally, I was just more in tune with what they were doing, whereas now I just don't watch as much basketball as I did before. But I still love my Sixers.
And the people we were living with were obsessed with watching basketball every night. So we were exposed to that.
That is also true.
And LA Fitness, good times. But, so like I said, with the trade deadline coming up, there is a member of the Philadelphia 76ers who should probably be traded.
Yes.
He wants to be traded. I think I'm going to throw out a couple options to you. I'll do like 3 different teams, and these are actual reports and sources that are coming out. So I'm going to throw, and I want you to just pick your favorite. So the first one is with the Atlanta Hawks, who the Sixers surprisingly lost to in the playoffs last year. And surprisingly, the Hawks might want Ben Simmons after he was the reason why they beat us. So I'm confused about that to start. But
You get Trae Young.
yeah, no.
I would say absolutely.
I guess they're thinking with Ben Simmons and Trae, like literally Ben does not have to worry to shoot because Trae is going to shoot every single shot. So they're thinking, let him do everything but shoot. So maybe, but so no, Trae is off the table. But John Collins, Kevin Herter, who is the redheaded guy, 3-point shooter, good
Young
3-point.
guy.
Yeah, young, good 3-point shooter out of Maryland. Cam Reddish, who
I like Cam.
went to
West Town.
which
We never got the chance
never
to see
got
him.
to see him. Or
Yo, that's one
Mo
honest.
Bamba. Mo Bamba and him were on the same team. Mo Bamba on the Orlando Magic right now.
I
7
know.
foot.
Yeah, I didn't know he played for
Same
West
team.
Town.
Same team.
Yeah.
Mo was a senior. Cam was a junior.
I just can't believe that we never went to a game.
We were 10 minutes away.
Fuck. Sometimes moving you, I just want to kick in the balls because, like, that's literally why we couldn't
Yeah,
go.
there
Because
was
every Friday
Fridays.
we get fucked with jobs. But
Well,
still love moving you though. But had to make some sacrifices.
so Cam Reddish could be a possibility. And Atlanta has a lot of good trade assets. Danilo Gallinari, 3-and-D guy, good power 4. But with Atlanta, we would probably have to convince them to take Tobias Harris, which wouldn't be horrible for us because
I don't give a shit about Tobias, to be honest.
because all they have is power forwards and stuff. So we couldn't clog up the power forward with Embiid. Like you can't have Tobias and John Collins. You can't have Tobias. Like it would not work. So that's a possibility. That's a team. Remember Atlanta. So just imagine probably for Ben we could get maybe like Cam Reddish, Danilo Gallinari, and Kevin Herter. And maybe a draft pick or 2. Then let's go over to the Sacramento Kings. So the Kings have
Who I know nothing about right now.
De'Aaron Fox,
Okay.
very good point guard. Tyrese Halliburton, who they just drafted.
How has De'Aaron Fox played the past few years?
Not very good this year,
No.
but he's been
So I know
almost
he was on the Duke team, right?
Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
And they beat Duke.
Yeah.
They were rivals pretty much that year. He's been all-star caliber.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just hasn't made it because the West is stacked with point guards.
Can he
Think
shoot?
about it. That's his problem is he can't really shoot that much. And then you got Tyrese Halliburton, who is very good. Think of him like a Rondo back in the day. Like this guy's a point guard.
Doesn't
He's
shoot.
Facilitator, better Rondo. I'm sorry, better shooter than Rondo. So they got those 2 guys. They have Harrison Barnes. They have Buddy Hield. You know Buddy Hield. Bot loves Buddy Hield back in the day. So he's a great 3-point shooter. Harrison Barnes can shoot the 3. They got options. So the Kings could be. Think about Kings. Maybe we could get De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. Those 2. And then one more team out there. The Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So with them, it would really only be Jaylen Brown, which honestly, and we might even,
How old?
depending on how the money works out, we might even have to give them someone or a draft pick or two.
How old's Jaylen?
Jaylen Brown out of California a couple years ago, maybe 24, 25.
So young.
Young, coming into his prime.
Like
Tatum's averaging like 26
like
or something, and Brown's right behind him. Brown's averaging, don't quote me on this, like around 23 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, like very good numbers.
I'd take Jaylen Brown.
So right off the bat, you don't even have to think about it. You wouldn't take a De'Aaron Fox, who's a very good point guard, and a Buddy Hield who can stretch the floor for Embiid. You wouldn't take maybe those two in a draft pick. You would like, and I'm just asking, and you right away went with Jaylen Brown.
So, basketball is a game where one person can make the difference, right? Like no matter
basketball is more
where
than any other sport,
no matter
yes.
where LeBron goes, the team's gonna fucking be good, right? That's not the same for football. The quarterback switches teams; they could be the worst team in the league. You know, there's more moving parts, more players in the field. But in basketball, if you get a great player, they will absolutely get you to the playoffs. So, for me personally, I've always thought Jaylen Brown is one of those guys that maybe he won't be like the dude, but he's one of those guys you're like,
we don't need him to be the dude.
No,
we have Embiid.
Thank God
he's
on
the
team.
Closer.
Yes,
he can
thank
be the
God
fourth
he's on the
quarter.
team because he can take the ball and get a bucket. And I think that is Dylan told me this before, and I 100% agree. Basketball is a game of buckets. I think like Barkley said it, and it's true. It's all about the buckets. Like you can play defense, that's great, but you need to be able to score. Like basketball's a scoring sport. I think Jaylen Brown could be that dude. And while the other trade might not be bad, again, you're spreading the talent out over a few people, and like maybe one of them, it's like a mutual fund of players. Like none of them are going to be like the dude or the second dude, but they're all going to be good. We can't like fuck that bullshit. Just get someone who's like almost guaranteed to be a fucking stud as soon as they get on the team.
I like that. I don't disagree with you.
You give him, it takes the pressure off Embiid to have to take the ball at the end of the game, which is stupid anyway. Like the way the NBA is played right now, like you can't give it to a big man to close a game.
Yeah, it's very hard.
There's just too much. There's
too
much happening.
As you can see with the Sixers, it has not worked. Playoffs is even harder. And I think we can all say this at this point. Doc is not the best play caller in the stretch.
Which I'm super surprised about.
Me too. I thought he was a better coach.
I guess he just had better teams, or maybe like his vision just isn't working.
I guess he's a player's coach. You know, I've heard that he's very good with his players, but I also thought he was an X and O's guy.
I really thought he was too.
But
I thought that was his big shtick up in Boston.
Well, yeah, I guess he lost some of that. I mean, he hasn't maybe evolved with the game. Like maybe he has a very old school. You know, back in 08,
KG, right?
Back in 08 with KG, and then he had Ray Allen, who was modern day
and
Steph Curry.
They were old players, meaning but that's what I mean though. Like
they were
today's
vets. Yeah. And Doc even had that in LA with the Clippers. He had Chris Paul, Blake was getting old, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick. They had an old, and they just couldn't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that their curse was losing 3-1, just like
damn.
So yeah, Doc has to prove himself too this year. But going back to that, think about a starting lineup of Tyrese Maxey.
You don't think Maxey goes in any of these deals?
No, he is
like 100% no.
No, what did I say before the season started?
I don't remember.
I wanted you to give me credit. So I said before the season started, I knew Ben was going to do his. We're not even going to talk about what he's doing right now, but I said because Tyrese is going to be a starting point guard, I said he's going to average 18.9 points a game, maybe like 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Don't expect him to do much else, maybe 4 assists. He's been doing well. He's been doing very well on defense. He is amazing. He's a second-year player. He's 19, 20 years old. So I don't think we get rid of him unless you're talking like James Harden, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, like these upper scale. That's where we would probably have to give up Ben, Tyrese, or Matisse, or both. Like it would be a combination of Ben and Matisse, or Ben and Tyrese, or all three. It would net like a Damian Lillard or like a game changer, like you said, a bucket getter. But that's like, I don't think any of those big moves are being made this year. I think that's more an offseason. But Daryl Morey it has been reported that he's okay with holding on to Ben this whole season and to hold this out in the offseason. He wants James Harden. He wants to go back to the Houston days. He wants to pair Harden with Embiid. He thinks that can be unreal. So he's willing to hold out because Harden's going to be a free agent. So he thinks he can get that, maybe do a swap with Ben Simmons. What do you think about that? Maybe not doing any of the 3 trades I proposed to you, but instead waiting it out this year and going for maybe a big name, like if Dame says something this offseason, because Portland sucks. Mm-hmm. So maybe a Dame or Bradley Beal. Maybe he's finally wants to get out of Washington. Like out of those 3, Harden, Beal, or Dame, would you wait out for one of those 3 as opposed to taking a Jaylen Brown?
All right, so let me say this. My priority would be to move on. Like, I think because
as soon as possible.
Well, I'm saying this from a pragmatic standpoint. So, like, with the business, when we have an employee that just fucking sucks, we call them culture cancers. We get them out fast because it brings down everything else. Like, you don't realize how fast that toxic fucking mentality spreads in an organization. Especially amongst similar positioned people. So, like, you know, for the NBA, the team is the similar positioned people. Like, if they start to have some type of feeling, you know what I mean? Anyway, what it comes down to is Ben is toxic. He just needs to be out. We need to stop talking about him, stop thinking about him. Like, just get over it and, like, let's work on something new. It's wasted energy. Every time we talk about him, it's wasted energy. However, with that being said, what is the likelihood if we hold on that his trade value goes to a James Harden level?
Here's what I'll say, and I was going to say this anyway, so you kind of walked into it. I think we've already reached the bottom of the Ben Simmons situation. He's off getting his mental health right now, and there's recent reports came out that he still has no plans to be a Sixer, even though we still want him to come back and play and blah, blah, blah. We're just trying to higher his trade value. But he still doesn't want to be a Sixer, so I mean, he's off doing his thing. I think we already reached the bottom in the beginning of the season when Joel made his plea for him to come back, and the reports with Rich Paul came out. Like, but now he's just sitting off on the side doing his own thing, and if we trade him, we trade him. Like, I don't think it. You think it should be right away because he's like a culture right, like a cancer right now.
Like, okay, I agree that it's not as bad as it was,
right?
But what I'm saying is, any amount of energy thinking about him is a waste, right?
Yeah.
If anyone in the locker room talks about,
I think he's off their mind.
But you're never off the mind until you're off the payroll, right? Like, he's still there. They're still to talk. Like, all you hear in the news when they're watching ESPN is, who are they going to get for Ben Simmons? Like, it's like, go, shut the fuck up, go away. Like, it just needs like you know what I mean? Like, because it's just better just to cut ties and.
So the way you
totally
answer that
out.
is you want Jaylen Brown rather than waiting for a James Harden.
But you didn't answer. So, like, what's the percentage that he would be able to get that? Because if it was like guaranteed, if we waited out, we can get that.
Honestly, I mean, obviously you can't. But if I was to put a percentage on it, I'd say it's a toss-up right now, like maybe 50-50, that one of those 3 guys is going to be unhappy with where they are or see the Sixers as an opportunity. You don't know how they feel. They could look at Embiid and say, Jesus Christ, that guy's like the modern-day Hakeem. Like, I'm a guard. Let me be paired up finally with the best big man in the game.
Yeah, the only person. Who was it again? It was James Harden.
James Harden, Bradley Beal, who's a 28, 30-point scorer a game. He could be perfect.
And who else?
And then Damian Lillard.
So right away, Harden's off the table. Harden is.
It's funny
never
you say that because that's probably the highest probability.
And I wouldn't want Harden. I think that would be, you're trading one fucking prima donna for another, dude. Like, that you're an idiot to do that. Plus, Harden's a great player, not a good winner. Like,
Morey loves him. The GM, our GM, loves him.
Yeah, because it sells more tickets. That's why.
And he stole him away from OKC, and then he became an all-star and an all-time player, and he wants to take credit, and he wants him back, and he wants to pair him with Embiid. So it's funny you say that because I think that might happen.
Yeah, I
don't see us trading Ben Simmons this trade
now Bradley
deadline.
Beal.
You like Beal?
I do. Like
more than
Beal.
Dame?
Dame. All right. So the only thing I have about Dame.
You could put Tyrese at the 2.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
That'd be sweet. The only thing I don't like about Dame is I feel like Dame Lillard is about Dame Lillard.
Ooh, I think you got that wrong. But go ahead.
Like, I'm not talking about in terms of his playing.
No, I know.
I just feel like he's the one that makes the music, right?
Right.
Yeah, like his head is spread out, and not to say that you can't win when you do that, but typically focus is better. like any outside influence. You know what I mean? And I might be looking into it a little too deeply, but I just feel like he's the type of person that wants the best for him, which is totally fine. But
I think it's been proven the opposite just because he stayed in Portland this long. And there's been all these rumors. He could have left years ago. He re-signed with them.
But then he wanted it to be his team. Like, didn't he have an ego about, like, I don't want to go? Wasn't he the one that said he didn't want to go to a super team or whatever?
Yeah. He said he wanted to build around the city of Portland. He said he wanted to, like, have it in Portland. He said he didn't want to leave. He said he didn't want to be a part of, like, a cop-out team. Mm-hmm. So that's not building player. Like, what's wrong with you saying you don't like him, like, having a say with the GM?
No. Because
he does have a say because he's very high ranking.
Yeah, no, of course. I meant more so like the feel. And again, this is from my uneducated point of view, but his personality just seems like he's about him first.
I got you.
And that's just how I perceive him with, like, interviews that I've seen or what, you know, like, it's body language. It's not anything concrete. I'm just saying that's just the type of feeling that I get, and I just feel like Beal's just like he's their ball. Like, he just wants to win. Like, he's just a dog. Like, I just like his. I feel like he would fit good in Philly too. I feel like he's got that chip on his shoulder type of style.
I feel like both Dame and
I mean, you're
Beal
right.
are dogs.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're both dogs. I feel like Dame would be unreal in Philly.
And again,
I feel like we would take him in and just he would love it here.
Yeah,
because I think he's a hard worker. At the end of the day, I know you have your thoughts, but I think that he is so committed to his craft. Like,
yeah,
he works so hard in the gym, and it's proven. And he's literally went to Weber State.
Yeah, I don't know,
like a no-name college, and he just made it. And he believed in himself, and he worked. Like, you gotta respect that. But
of course,
I think that the Sixers should wait for a big name because, like you said, at the end of the day, it's all about getting buckets.
Yeah,
it's all about getting buckets. But it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds because you got, like I said, Tobias Harris is an option too to be traded.
I would
possibly
love to get rid of Tobias,
but that contract.
He is you took the words out of my mouth. He is the biggest waste of a max contract that's ever existed.
There are so many guys in the NBA that,
like, who the fuck gave him that? Like, what? Like, who
was the GM? Was it Elton?
Like,
it might have been Elton.
What were you thinking?
It wasn't Morey. It might have been Elton.
Like, I'm okay with you making, like, a dumb decision. This was just uneducated.
Think about it. It was when the whole Jimmy Butler thing, and Jimmy forced his way out, and then we said, "Oh shit, we're left with Tobias. We got to pay." Because think about it. That season.
Yeah, but if you're
with JJ Redick, we traded for Jimmy, we traded for Tobias, we lost significant assets. We lost Cove, we lost Dario Saric, like we lost all those guys. And then I think after the season was over and they crumbled, and then Jimmy said, "Yeah, screw you guys," like Brett Brown, whatever, Ben Simmons and him had a beef. And then you're sitting there looking in the room and you're looking at Tobias Harris and you're like, "Oh, like we can't lose this guy because if we lose this guy, we'll look like idiots trading all those pieces just for a half a season." So they trapped themselves in a corner. I agree, it's a horrible decision, but they got trapped in a corner.
Don't you feel like if you're gonna tank, just tank?
They did that already.
But like, come on,
they did that. You want them to do it again right now with Embiid?
Listen,
you want to trade Embiid?
No. Tank is in like what?
Tank? No,
like
Embiid would not accept that.
I mean,
what do you mean tank? Like legit just become the worst team in the league?
No. Like, just like, why? Like, Tobias not being your save-all. Like, fuck it. Like, you can get somebody who's at least relatively close.
You're just saying get rid of Tobias for... Like,
I don't think you needed to
pennies
keep
on the
him.
dollar.
I just don't think you need to keep him.
He is not having a horrible season, but he's not a $180 million player.
That I know, and maybe I'm just butthurt because he's paid so much.
Yes, exactly. If you look at his numbers and if you watch him play, like, he contributes. You know, he's out there trying, but you're right. I would love. There's so many better options in the NBA as like a 4/3. Like, I don't know. I was actually talking to someone else about this, and if we had LA Clippers Tobias Harris, where we got him from, that would be different. He was a different animal over there, and
again, different roles.
Yep, different.
He wasn't
environment.
Like, we always talk about how, like, some people were born to be number ones, and some people were born to be extremely good number twos. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's okay to be a number two, but sometimes, like, that's just your role. And I feel like that is exactly the situation.
Do you think that's what went wrong with Ben and Joel? because maybe Ben thinks he's a 1, but in reality, he is the furthest thing from a 1. But he has to think he's a 1. So he's like, this is my team.
Yeah, I think that has a heavy part in it.
Which is so annoying because he's not a 1.
I also think that they probably had a lot of beef with work ethic because I know Embiid works. And I think that there's probably some beef about him being lazy, rightfully so. Because if I was Embiid, if I'm in Embiid's shoes, I'm calling that motherfucker out.
He took his shots at him sometimes, but he probably knew that. Ben is a soft little baby, so he knew that if he said something, it would blow up the whole thing.
Yeah,
and it did. And look at it now. He is.
Ben Simmons needs to go play for. He needs to find his way to the Los Angeles Lakers and then just stay there.
No, I hope he gets traded to. Who sucks? OKC. I hope he goes to the Thunder.
I mean, me too. Like, I don't necessarily want him to have a fucking.
I hope he goes
career.
to the middle of nowhere, like Oklahoma, Minnesota. Like, trade him to the Timberwolves, make him have a cold winter. Like, I don't know, trade him somewhere that's horrible.
All right. So with that all being said, final answer. What's your ideal trade that's realistic for Ben Simmons
this season? Are you special?
No. Like, you could do this season. Hold on. Like, ideal situation. You're GM. What are you thinking?
I want Damian Lillard.
Dame.
And here's my logic behind it. It's not just. I mean, I think he's going to be the best pairing with Embiid. I don't know who we would have to give up. I don't know if he would force his way out, and we could get pennies on the dimes on the dollar for him or something like that. Like not pennies, but we'd still have to give some stuff up. But maybe we could keep Tyrese. Maybe we could just do Ben and a couple draft picks or something for Dame. But besides that point, I think it's the most realistic because Portland sucks this year. They're like 9 games below 500 or something. They're not looking like they're gonna make the playoffs. CJ McCollum's injured, which has a part of it, but still there's no base around it. Dame was calling for change this offseason or else he was going to be pissed off. There's been no change. So I think realistically this offseason Dame could be like, all right, I tried. Yeah. I tried. I gotta go. And then Philly's knocking at that door. So I think it's very realistic. We have assets that Portland could want. They could be like, all right, you know what? Let's start over with Ben and CJ and then let's, work this way around. I don't know. Yeah. That's my choice. Dame, what about you? Did you give a final answer?
So I would say if we have to do something straight up, Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
If we have to include somebody, Tobias for either Dame or Beal, not Harden.
Okay.
That's where my head goes.
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah. Very good.
I think it's a wrap.
Yep. Sounds good.
Well, those are our thoughts on the current situation of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Thank you.